and eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Amelia Lee. Much of Kentucky saw flooding issues, including in the southeastern area. One well-known man from Clay County was among the 11 people who died from the floodwaters. We're learning more about Don Nicholson from his friends in the London and Manchester areas. Phil Pendleton also spoke to people cleaning up and finding a way to move on after the devastating and deadly losses in Clay County.
Don Nicholson was driving in the Horse Creek section of Clay County when officials say that he got out of his truck and was swept away.
I just think about the big hole that's been left in the community of Manchester, and because Don and his wife reached out and impacted so many people in the community.
His friends say Nicholson was deeply devoted to his family and community.
Good people.
Mike Brewer says Nicholson always made sure that kids that did not have a place to go did with him and his late wife.
We're just a big outpouring of love, and that created a safe place for a lot of people in the community that I know and are friends with that have nothing but great things to say.
Local officials say they are still working to assess the total amount of damages, but they say that it's pretty much county-wide. The Oneida community was hit especially hard once again.
Starting over, I mean, now I'm disabled. I don't know what to do because I can't work, and my daughter's house destroyed, didn't have insurance on it, so I don't know. It's hard around here.
Many are dealing with the same flooding they experienced just a few years ago in 2021 and 2022. The Masonic Lodge was once again filled with some water and mud.
I thought it would get up here that bad, like it did before. That scared us. We knew maybe it would, but that's why we tried to prepare for it, but, still, it didn't help.
Now they simply clean up and hope for the best as they work to get back on their feet. In Clay County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
People say they will pull together and help each other like they've done so many times in the past. Well, people in Perry County were busy cleaning up the damage from the flood. There were groups of high schoolers and adults lining the streets of downtown Hazard, working to clean up all the muck and mud that devastated more than 40 businesses. Sam Collins is an attorney at the law office of Deborah Lewis. He says it's just heartbreaking to watch the law office, as well as many other places, get destroyed by flooding.
Well, the water got about 5 feet into the first floor, and so everything on the first floor is a total loss. It'll probably be an entire gut and redo, flooring, sheetrock, electrical, everything.
Some business owners had to turn away volunteers because there were so many helping hands. Folks will continue their cleanup efforts in the days to come. We will have more Eastern Kentucky flood coverage coming up in our next half hour. Parts of Southwest Virginia also saw a lot of damage caused by flooding. We understand Congressman Morgan Griffith is expected to pay some visits to areas that were hit in Southwest Virginia tomorrow. He's expected to tour parts of Wise, Dickinson, and Buchanan counties. We do want to let you know about the WYMT News app. You can keep up with everything going on in Eastern Kentucky. To download that app, just scan the QR code. It is on your screen right now by either using the camera on your phone or using a QR code app. That will take you to where you can download the app for free, either from the App Store or the Google Play Store.
Well, we've had a calm day across our area, but certainly has been a cold one. We look at current temperatures this evening, and we are seeing those numbers generally sitting right now into the low 30s, 32 in Hazard, 36 in Manchester, 36 in Harlan. We are 32 in Prestonsburg and 30 in Pikeville. But yeah, great news that we've had a calm day today. We really need those right now as we've had a lot going on. Satellite and radar shows some clouds, at least to our north, but we're not seeing any kind of precipitation right now, and not going to be having to worry about any kind of rain. Of course, the rivers are still rising or still in the flood stage. We've got numerous flood warnings out anywhere shaded in that green. Those are those flood warnings that we have in effect. So that's what we got as we go into the next couple days as those rivers continue to stay above their banks. For tonight, we'll stay calm. We'll see an increase in clouds across our area as we're going to see temperatures pretty cold. We'll fall in the 20s as we go through this evening into the overnight. But we have winter storm warnings out for most of the area. Winter storm comes Tuesday night into Wednesday. I'll talk about it a little bit more coming up.
All right, thank you, Ben. Well, emergency crews are responding to a crash involving a Delta Airlines plane in Toronto. The plane, coming from Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport, ultimately landed upside down in wintry conditions. All 80 people on board the plane were evacuated. CBS News says 15 people had been taken to a hospital. 3 people were critically injured, but the rest of the injuries were moderate, officials tell us. President Trump is pushing forward on 2 very big foreign policy plans to end a war and stabilize a peace deal in another war. CBS's Erica Brown has more details from the White House.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with the Saudi Crown Prince Monday to discuss peace deals to end the wars in both Gaza and Ukraine. This is Rubio's first Middle East visit as Secretary of State as he seeks support for President Trump's controversial plan to resettle Palestinians so the U.S. can redevelop Gaza. Rubio met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over the weekend, and a bipartisan group of senators was in Israel Monday.
The one thing that President Trump has done, he started a discussion that was long overdue. I think the Arabs have woken up, hey, we need to find a better alternative than what's been said.
The Trump plan is a non-plan. It's a hot mess. The possibility of takeover by the United States is a non-starter.
Rubio and other Trump administration officials are expected to meet with Russian officials in Saudi Arabia Tuesday for talks to end Russia's war with Ukraine. Ukraine is pushing for a more active role in negotiations.
Україна про це нічого не знала.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his country was not invited, and any deal made without Ukraine will not be recognized. European leaders who have been shut out of negotiations met in an emergency session in Paris Monday.
This isn't just about the front line in Ukraine, it's the front line of Europe and of the United Kingdom. It's about our national security.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he was willing to put British troops on the ground in Ukraine to help enforce a peace deal. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Prime Minister Starmer is expected to meet with President Trump in Washington next week. Well, President Trump is appealing to the Supreme Court, asking the justices to let him fire the head of a government ethics watchdog agency. The emergency appeal in the case, Besant versus Dellinger, could eventually help clarify whether Congress may create independent agencies protected from the whims of the White House, or whether presidents can fire anyone seen as a potential critic. At the center of the case is Hampton Dellinger. The Trump administration is taking more steps to downsize the federal government, this time at the Federal Administration. The union representing the workers said hundreds of probationary employees who maintain critical services with air traffic control are being let go. Many of the workers install, inspect, and maintain air traffic control communications, radio, and computer systems. Actress Julianne Moore claims her book about embracing diversity has been removed from schools serving military families. The book is called Freckle-Faced Strawberry, and it's based on Moore's own childhood experience. A spokesperson for the Department of Defense's education activity says it was removed as part of a review process to response to executive orders issued by President Trump regarding gender ideology and DEI programs. 4 deputy mayors for New York City, Mayor Eric Adams, have resigned. The New York Times says the resignations are due to a reported quid pro quo between Adams and the Trump administration. In exchange for the Justice Department dropping corruption charges against Adams, he agreed to help the Trump administration crack down on illegal immigration. One of the officials who resigned was the deputy mayor for public safety. Pope Francis remains in a Rome hospital and has been diagnosed with what's being called a complex respiratory tract infection. The Vatican announced that update this morning. A Vatican spokesperson says that the Pope spent the morning eating breakfast and reading the newspaper as he continues to receive care. He was admitted to the hospital Friday and was listed in fair condition following a week-long bout of bronchitis.